Yes, y'all. It's Married to the Games. Thank you guys for being here. Episode 001. The name's Gabe Patillo. I'm here with Tim Rauter and Timothy Hall. You guys say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
What's going on?
Everybody's excited to be here, apparently. And,
Third voyage.
And so the
Nobody will know.
It's our first time out, and so yeah, first podcast, man. We're ready to do this. We're just some regular guys. We got I guess we say kids and wives and 9 to 5s, but we're still married to the game. So we thought we'd kick the first episode off with some introductions, so you guys can get to know who we are a little bit better and see what we're into, what we like to play. So Tim Rauter, the newbie.
Yes.
Let's start with
sir.
you.
Lucky me.
Yes, sir.
The newbie. Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Rauter. I am 37 years old. I enjoy sunsets and walks in the park and picnics and fluffy little teddy bears.
Nice.
Like I said, I'm 37. I am a newbie. I am married to a beautiful woman, Lauren. I've been married. It's going to be 14 years next month, guys. It's
Wow,
crazy.
14 years?
Yeah, time is flying.
Wow, this is the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, shocking to all of you, I'm
Yeah.
sure. And this year we were blessed. We had, back in February, I had a little baby girl. Her name's Piper, and she's 7 months now. And
She's going to be joining us later?
yes, confidentially, she's taking a nap on my lap right now. So, but she's really sweet. And I'm self-employed. I have a website design firm called Milk Money Promotions, and I live here in beautiful Franklin, Tennessee. I did want to shout out Merity's Bread Basket. Those people over there, every day I go and get a coffee there, and actually 2 or 3 of the people that work there are gamers as well. So I wanted to give them a shout out, because I go over there and we talk about all the upcoming games and what they're playing and stuff. So it's kind of fun.
There you go.
So big shout out to Merity's over there. But yeah, as Gabe said, I am the newbie, and I basically purchased my first real console almost a year ago. And it was a PS3, and before that, I had the Wii console.
Sorry, Nintendo, for not being categorized as a real system.
Yeah, exactly. But well, the Wii is like the more the family-friendly stuff. That's why I'm always like, yeah, it's the Wii.
Of course.
But I played a lot of Mario Kart with Gabe. We jumped online and we played a lot, and he crushed me every time. And I had a few other games here and there. And then a storm came and fried my Wii console, and so I was out of it. So 1 year ago, on our anniversary, my sweet wife said, okay, I'm sick and tired of hearing about this. Go buy yourself a PS3.
Nice.
So she gets major points for that, and she's regretted that decision ever since.
Yep.
So we went over to Costco, and I purchased myself a PS3, and that was bundled with Uncharted 2.
Oh,
And,
gosh.
So yeah, that was the first game I played, and man, that was a great way to start off.
So good.
So it was good because I was able to get familiar with the controls, because I'd never really touched any of those type of controls before. It's always been like either the Wii wand or the Atari joystick back in the day. That's it.
Well, I'm sure you don't miss touching the Wii wand.
No, that's right, exactly. So So I purchased a PS3 with Uncharted 2, and I played through that whole game. And then the first other games that I purchased were Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, LA Noire, and then Skyrim, because that was right around November when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I had some pretty good titles to start off.
That's a really nice lineup.
Yeah,
definitely.
I love it. I love it a lot. So, and I like those style games. I like kind of like the open world. I like more like stealth games. I mean, I like first person shooters too. I definitely have Modern Warfare and all that fun stuff too. But I don't know. I just kind of like more of the adventure style, like being able to make different decisions and all that kind of stuff. I just finished the Walking Dead episode 3. And I have a season pass for that whole series, and I love that because it's all based on the decisions that you make, which I think is so much fun. and the decisions that you make affect how the game goes. And I just think that's cool. It's interactive, and it just makes it really cool. So yeah, I'm excited.
What would you
man.
say would be your favorite then?
Man, I think I've always been a huge Assassin's Creed fan. So, and I never played the first one or Assassin's Creed 2. I started with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Nice.
And I honestly love that one just because, it was so open world, and you had, the Brotherhood that you could, arrow storm people, and God, that was fun. So I think Assassin's Creed is definitely one of my favorites.
There you go. You got anything you've been looking forward to coming out?
And man, there is a lot I think this fall to look forward to. So I know Tim Hall is probably going to geek us out over Borderlands 2 because that's out now. But there's apart from the obvious, which would be Assassin's Creed 3, which I think is just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I've been watching all of the behind the scenes that they've put on their YouTube channel, and if you haven't checked it out, just do a search for Assassin's Creed 3, and they have, I think, 4 episodes. They're like 7 minutes long each, and they kind of go through the development of it. And I'm so looking forward to this game. But there's a couple other sleepers that I think could be really cool. I know Assassin's Creed comes out October 30th, but October 9th is Dishonored, and I know Bethesda is had their hand in that as well. And that's another one of those stealth assassin style games, which I think it looks really cool. I saw some gameplay in the trailer for it. I'm kind of excited about that.
It looks pretty neat. So
Yeah.
I kind of like the isn't it like kind of a throwback to 1800s or something?
Yeah,
like
I think
that?
it's like 16th century. You're in like Dunlow or something like that, and the premise is you're basically an assassin, and you were dishonored because you were part of like the Emperor's security, and something happens. But it looks really cool. And the other one, and Gabe, I think you played this at E3, and we'll get to that later on, I'm sure. But Hitman Absolution, which comes out November 20th.
Oh yes, I cannot wait.
That looks ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to that.
I've played all those
awesome.
games, every single Hitman that came out. I've played, and getting to play the new one was. I mean, there's just they get so in depth. Like they're almost can be not fun at certain. You're like,
Wow.
How do I know that I'm supposed to take this over there and put the poison in the such and such? And I mean, but it's such a cool game to figure out because you don't have to play it that in depth.
Right.
But,
I don't even know if I'm going to be able to play that game because I just walk in and just start shooting. I'm like, no time for thinking. Come on.
Well, there's Tim's Hall style of play. That's
exactly.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So I mean, but I would think I would love that too. I'd probably get frustrated because I wouldn't know what to do. But the fact that the option is there, and if you figure it out, it's really cool.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
yeah, it's been fun. So yeah, that's Tim Rauter in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. I like it. So Timothy Hall, who are you?
A guy recovering from a cold, I think.
That's not good.
Well, 26 years young. Been married to my wife for 6 years now. Live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in the audio industry. I kind of do various things in town. Yeah, I was going to say I got into gaming at the Atari 2600. I was about probably 3 or 4 years old at the time, so I don't think I knew what I was doing most of the time, and pretty sure I have fond memories of playing like Raiders of the Lost Ark and having no clue what was going on.
At least you didn't have a bunch of buttons to choose from.
Yeah. No, I still play that game and still don't know what's going on, so it's all good. Well, I think when I really got into it was the NES. I think my parents got me an NES new in maybe 90, I think.
Wow. They still
so
found
yeah, I
one
was-
new in 1990. That's amazing.
Yeah, the action set, man, it was dirt.
Or they might have just told you it was new.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably wasn't.
It
My
was straight
parents
from
were
someone's
like,
garage sale.
exactly.
Pawn shop.
Hey, my parents were big on like the flea markets and the yard sales and stuff. And to be honest, like I had just games galore. I probably had, like I had an NES and a Genesis like right back to back, and I probably had a good 250 games
Oh
for
my
both consoles.
gosh.
So it was just
Lord, man, you were like
Man-
the pimp of the block.
It's so funny because when I described that story to people, they were like, "Oh, you had to have been rich or something." I was like, "No. It's like back then, before eBay, before games had real monetary like value as far as like
Right.
the internet was concerned.
Yeah.
People would sell games for like 25 cents. Like Zelda for 25 cents.
Oh god.
It was like, why not? Yeah. So
Exactly.
they would go to garage sales and flea markets, and somebody'd be selling a box of games for like $10, and they'd be like, "Well, my son plays games, so I'm gonna get these."
Man, those days are gone. I don't think you can
Oh.
get anything like that anymore.
No, not anymore, man. Because when people find games in their attic, now they're like, "I'm gonna check eBay."
Exactly. There's too
'Cause you
much
hear
information
stories-
out there.
Well, you hear stories about the people, like the woman that found the console in her attic or something, and it had that really rare game in the box.
Oh
Wow.
my
And
gosh, of
she
course
posted
did.
it up on eBay thinking nothing of it, and it got up to like 13 grand, was it?
Oh my
What?
gosh. What
Yeah,
game
did you guys
was
hear
it?
about that?
No.
No, that was the craziest thing. Like when I heard that story, I was like, okay, everybody's gonna think it was the NES that went for 13,000, but no, it's the game.
What was it?
She had it. It was God dang it, what was that game?
It wasn't 10 Commandments. I know that.
No, it was oh, I can't remember either. It's not that important. Really, what's just funny about it is that story kind of just reinvigorated it, and I was like, man, now I'm not gonna be like able to find anything
Right.
at yard sales.
Exactly.
God, I mean, I got lucky last weekend, but geez, like it's few and far between.
What'd you
now.
get last weekend?
I got like a some woman was selling like a bag of Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games, and it like had every Pokemon game in it ever.
Nice.
So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. I paid like $10 for it. So
you try
Nice.
to downplay it the whole time. You're like, what's this
What's
Oh no,
Pokemon?
When you see that stuff, man, you don't even say anything. You just say, "I'll take this."
Nice.
That's how you do it, man.
I like it.
Yeah, I just walked up and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah."
So you've had a bunch of consoles.
Yeah. I think from there I went to like the PlayStation, the N64. I've pretty much owned all of them
Mm-hmm.
at one point. The Dreamcast I bought post mortem, but
Along with everyone else.
I think I got. Well, that's the sad thing is that if we would all just bought it when it came out, it probably would have done a lot better. But
Thank you.
I think I bought that console when it was like at GameStop when it was like $20.
Oh gosh, that hurts my feelings.
Wow.
I know, and
Wow.
it's so sad. I mean, I bought it before. I remember buying it probably in like 2000 even. So that was like a year after it came out.
Jeez Louise.
That thing just bombed.
Quickly.
That's so sad. Yeah. Anyway, from there, like PS2, Xbox 360, PS3. So, I pretty much owned everything as it came, but I kind of went in and out of games like as I progressed. So, like, I took a break from games probably after the PS2. Like, I got the PS2 and got some games, and then kind of took a break.
Mm.
The thing that got me into it was after I got married. My wife bought me Ultimate Alliance for PS2.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fun game, but that was like the first game I had gotten into in such a long time. And from there, like I went to my brother-in-law's house, and they had a 360 and sat me down. And they were like, "Hey, man, go ahead and play this real quick." And I was just like blown away. And it wasn't even on an HD TV. It was just like a crappy SD TV, you know.
Right.
And I was like, "Man, this is awesome," because they put me in front of like Call of Duty 2 online.
Oh, I mean,
So I was
come
just like
on.
running around throwing grenades at my teammates, you know.
Hook, line, and sinker.
I'm just like,
Got you.
no, that game got me back in because I was just like, oh man, this is so awesome. So yeah, I mean, I got a 360 and was into that for quite a while, and got a PS3 most recently because there were a lot of exclusives that I wanted to play, and Uncharted 2 got me into the PS3. So
Nice.
Of course.
I think it got a ton of people into it, honestly, because you would just look at coverage for that game. Like, even if you were looking at a commercial of it, you're just like, I got to play that.
Man,
That
I
looks
felt
so
like
awesome.
the press for that. I felt like the press for that thing was everywhere. Like I felt
It
like
was.
Microsoft was selling that game. Like I felt like everybody and their mother was like, "This is the best game that's ever come out ever." I remember seeing it just all over the place.
I think it was even on the cover of the disc. It was like 10 out of 10, like best game. Like it was.
Oh, that was after the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was this
yeah, that's true.
giant
Yeah.
swell.
Can I
of
point out something real
press.
quick? I got to point
Yeah,
out something
I
real
know.
quick. This is funny, Tim, because you just said that your wife bought you a game, my wife allowed me to buy a PS3, yet they're still the ones bitching about it. Can I just make that point that they're the ones that initiated all of this and allowed us to get this stuff, and now they're going to bitch about it? I don't think so. I think we've got a little ammo here, folks.
Yeah.
I think we
they
have a
did
little
it.
ammo.
Hey, you know what? They did it to themselves. You know, they just
Exactly.
got pleasing
Right.
their husbands, and then
Yep.
whoops, shouldn't have
Worst
done
mistake.
that.
Worst mistake ever. Exactly.
That's
I
so,
think my worst mistake was getting cable. So
Yeah. Exactly.
So
I just
Hall-
wanted to
backfired on me.
what's
point
your-
that out. So
What's your? We've talked about this a little bit before. You said, did you say PS1 was probably your favorite console?
Yeah, definitely PS1 because that kind of like, I think I went straight from the SNES to the PS1, so I don't think I really had a break there or anything. But
Right.
I just remember getting it and playing like Metal Gear Solid for the first time, and I was just like,
Oh my gosh,
this
yeah.
is
That was next level.
this is next gen. This is the future. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And I can still play that game to this day. I mean, it's such a fun game. And then getting like Crash,
Bandicoot.
let me think of more exclusives here.
I thought.
All of the Final Fantasy RPGs that came out at the time.
Yep.
Which, by the way, do you remember that trailer for Final Fantasy VII? Like, I just remember watching that trailer and just being like, I don't know. And I mean, I had played Final Fantasies in the past, but I was kind of like, I kind of didn't have that great of a recollection about him. And
Right.
I just remember seeing the trailer for that game, not necessarily knowing what it was. I was just like, this looks incredible.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people at that time, like going back to, was it 97, I think?
Something like that.
I think going back to that time, like people who weren't even interested in games were just like, this is unbelievable. Like, I have got to get a console and get this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that game really, I think, got a lot of people hooked on RPGs and JRPGs for that matter.
Yeah. I think too, like, I think when people started seeing that, they were like, okay, games have now stepped into something else. Not that any game hadn't before that, but it just seemed like with how surrounded that game was with, with the press and everything like that, people for the first time looked at video games in a different light.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point it kind of became an entertainment medium. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It broke all kind of records too for video game sales and all that. So out of your history, if you gotta take it down to one that you'd be like, you know what? Give me a TV, this system, and this game. What is it?
Oh, definitely Link to the Past for SNES. I mean, that game is so awesome. That's the only game I've ever played where I've actually had a save problem, like something just erased all my saves, and did not have a problem starting over at all.
You're like,
Nice.
I am glad to do this.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. I was like, happy to, basically.
that's amazing.
But I mean, that game, like, I remember playing it on the SNES, and then like I think I probably beat it like a handful of times.
Yeah.
And then getting it on the Game Boy Advance when I got one of those. So I mean, like, I love that game. There's the challenges, the way that they are, just like, it's just a perfect game. Like, I can play it over and over again.
Was it a good standalone, or do you feel like you needed the history of their story to be able to play that game?
It helped having owned like Zelda in the past, because I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing here, but I don't even think you really need to play any of them, because really with like the first few games, like, there's story, but it's kind of in kind of a backseat to the whole experience.
Right.
Whereas Link to the Past was just like an entertaining game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was fun to play, and it had a good story, and it was cool.
There you go.
And it to me, it still holds up, and that really says a lot for like a 16-bit top-down adventure game.
Oh yeah. So
and I mean, like, I've went back and I've played like newer games, like for the iPhone, like Xenonia, I think it's what it's called. It's like the Zelda clone or whatever.
Right.
And it just doesn't give me the same feeling at all. Like, A Link to the Past was just that game.
Yeah,
And
it definitely has something to do with your life at the time as well. I think.
yeah,
with some of
definitely.
these
It's
games.
it's a nostalgia thing too. I mean, it's like I remember the feeling I had playing that game when I was a kid. So it kind of just translates into today.
Exactly. So Link to the Past to the future. What are you looking forward to?
I'm definitely looking forward to Assassin's Creed 3. Though I did like play 1 and 2, like I didn't get into them as much as I think I'll get into 3, just because I'm not like that big of a history buff, but I do really like American history. So like,
Me too.
I think 3 is going to really get me into it. Because when I saw like that George Washington and Ben Franklin were in the game, I was just like,
Right.
oh my God.
Yeah.
This is going to be
This is
awesome.
next level Assassin's
Oh,
Creed.
man. Like, imagine like playable George Washington. You're like mowing guys down. That'd be so awesome.
As long as you remember your teeth,
Yeah.
wherever you set
Yeah,
'em.
exactly. You'll be fine. You'll be
George-
fine. And you know
George
what? If you
Washington.
lose them, that's okay. That's okay. We'll just
Yep.
get new ones.
We'll just
You
chop
just
down
get-
a tree and make a new pair.
George Washington with the hidden blades, man. Here he comes. That's awesome.
It's kind of like the
you know-
whole Abe Lincoln vampire killer thing. Like to
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
think of those guys as these brutal
Hey,
murderers. This could be
that was a
ridiculous.
great book, actually. I read that book, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't see the movie, but I saw the book, and that was really great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
story
I'm
is
glad you're
crazy.
excited for Assassin's Creed 3, too. I am. I can't wait.
I think, well, another game I was excited for and it just came out was Borderlands 2, and I already have it.
Yeah,
and
you do.
I've been playing it. I love it. It's
Yeah?
Do
so
you?
awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's basically it's taking the formula from the first one and it's
Right.
just kind of improving it in a way that makes the game more fun.
Yeah,
Like,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And I think the graphics look amazing, too.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a really cool art style that kind of holds up. Like if you take a look at, because most games are in 720p nowadays anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Basically every game that you play is being upscaled on your TV, but that game, like you don't really notice because the art style just looks so cool. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a comic-y looking style, so it's like it works well being stretched out. Whereas when I play like Call of Duty, it's like if it's pixelated, I'm like, what is this?
Right.
What is this? What's this
yeah.
crap?
The fact that it's cartoony in a way helps it.
Oh yeah, you don't notice it at all. I mean, really, that's where we've gotten to with these consoles is they've kind of aged so much that we kind of have to make a lot of sacrifices in games. Like they can't be as sharp, and But I mean, I'm ready for the next gen for that reason, mainly for that reason. But yeah, like I was saying about Borderlands 2, the thing about from going from 1 to 2, like in 1, the guys would just make a straight line for you. They would just run towards you, which is all right, I guess. But all you had to do to kill everybody was just run backwards and shoot.
Right.
With Borderlands 2, they're way more animated. So like, a guy will be running at you and you'll kind of shoot at him and he'll dodge or he'll like stagger. Or,
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
really creative.
Oh,
and
so you've noticed a big
it's
difference in
different
the AI.
experience. Oh, big time. It makes the game a lot more fun.
A little bit more
Like, I mean,
strategic.
Yeah, it's definitely with the first one. Like it was fun, but it was like, well, I already know how to put out these guys, so it's like I'm not really, it's not really a challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
With
awesome.
2, it's definitely much more of a challenge, and I like the way that they did the weight of the guy too. Like in the first one, it felt kind of Call of Duty-ish. Like you could just sprint, and it didn't really feel like it felt like you were almost floating. You know what I mean? Whereas with the second one, it feels more like Killzone, where it's kind of heavier.
Right.
Like when you
sure.
move, you're actually kind of moving
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
Like you've got a lot of motion. So, man, it really gets tense because I think they also kind of slowed down the way you run. So like when you're trying to get out of like hairy situations, it's like, oh crap, you're like trying to
Right.
get to cover, and it's like you can't run as fast as you used to be able to. So it's an awesome experience, and they did everything that they needed to do to make it a 9 or a 10, in my opinion. So
Awesome.
Really, that's nice and high.
good stuff.
I think on right now on Metacritic, I think it's got like a 91, maybe.
Oh, I can't
Wow.
wait.
I mean,
to go play that.
everybody's enjoying it. So
That's awesome. Gabe Patillo,
Yes, sir.
Hell the World. Speak it.
I know, right? Gabe Patillo, 30 years old, representing 3 decades already.
Yes, sir.
Married. My wife's name is Jenny. We just passed 5 years. She's awesome. She holds down literally the whole house. Like, it's crazy because my job is on the road. I sing for a guy named Toby Mack, and so we're gone a lot. And we have a little daughter named Amara who just turned 1 yesterday.
Woohoo.
And yes. And so man, she just it's insane watching her juggle just everything. Because I come home and I'm like, oh, I just want to be at home and gone for 5 days. And, the house is all put together. The baby's clean. I was like, man, if the roles were reversed, this place would be in disarray, and the government would have came and got my daughter already. It wouldn't even be close. There'd be clothes all over the place. There'd be flies, and the dog would be all malnourished. It'd be like, Stewie when he was in that one episode of Family Guy. He's like, poopy,
I was just gonna say that.
Poopy, just a big old diaper. He's just dragging it.
I can't take anymore. Oh my God, I was just gonna say that too. I can totally picture that.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
And still she lets me game. I try to, because I'm gone so much, especially during heavy touring seasons, I try to come home and be a good father and a good husband, and so on the road is where I try to get most of my gaming in. I'm like Hall, I've been gaming, like I can't remember a time that I wasn't gaming, and suffered through, the Virtual Boy and different things like this that kind of came and went. I started with the NES. My dad got me the NES. I guess my dad liked gaming too, so he would kind of, yeah, I'm getting this for my son, blah, 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 blah. And then he would whoop me in track and field on the power pad. And
Nice.
And so, yeah, man, my gaming started out way back then, and worked up through the Genesis and the Sega CD and the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation and the Dreamcast and the PS2 and now PS3. My brother had the N64, and of course we had the Super Nintendo, which I mean, to this day, the Super Nintendo I think is just such a ridiculous system. It's not my favorite, but there's just so many fond memories that come with the SNES, and those games were just so good. So, Hall, I can totally see you having your favorite game on the SNES, because that thing was insane.
Man, funny story about my SNES. I can't
God bless
remember.
you.
My mom got mad at me and she threw it down a flight of stairs.
What?
Yeah.
Is she
and
crazy?
It still worked.
What?
Yeah.
What?
She was like, I just got this thing from the flea market anyway, and just tossed it down the steps.
Well, no. That was actually one that they bought as new, because I remember they got it with, I don't know, what came with, I think it just came with Mario World, I don't remember. But basically, she threw it down the stairs, and I remember picking it up, and it was just like, all these like components just rattling around in it. Oh God, this thing is done.
Yeah.
And I plugged it in and it worked.
No
That's amazing.
way.
Yeah. It worked perfectly. And I think somebody in my family still has it and it still works.
That's incredible.
Hilarious.
That is definitely the definition of they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm so sorry to sidetrack, man, but I had to mention that because I just remembered it. You have got to be kidding me.
I mean, with these like red rings of death and the yellow light of death on the PlayStation and the Xbox, you're like, if you can throw it down the stairs and it still work, that's a system I can stand behind.
Oh my God! It would hit the first step and be done. It'd be like, I'm done.
If my PlayStation looked at the steps, it would stop working.
That's amazing.
But
that's awesome.
I think I gotta go favorite console. I think I gotta go Dreamcast. I think it was overlooked. I think it was overshadowed by just how strong and how the long-lasting appeal of the PlayStation 1. Even though the PlayStation came out way before the Dreamcast, I think it just got swallowed up, man, just by, the Xbox was right around the corner. Not like real close to right around the corner, but the PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. Xbox came out in 2001. Dreamcast came out 9/9/99. I'll always remember that. It was one of my best friend's birthdays back then. And
Wow.
So 9/9/99.
So
was
you know what?
to remember.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII came out that day too.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. That was a heyday, man. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of you talking about the PS1 overshadowing, it was like everybody was looking forward to Final Fantasy VIII. So it was like,
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, and so I think it just came out in a bad time, and the Saturn didn't do great because it was just so huge. Remember how big the Saturn was? It was like this huge, massive system, and you're like, this is take up all my bookshelf room. Like I have my Sega Saturn, and that's it. So I just think, but I thought they were so ahead of their time with the little screen and the controller. You remember that? You could have the little save thing.
Big time. Well, online play too, man.
Yeah,
like
online
PS2 did not
play,
have that out the gate. So it's just like,
come on. But it was just ahead of its time, and I think people didn't get it yet. They weren't ready for it. Obviously bandwidth wasn't where it is now in 99, and so I think, but I think they still had like Phantasy Star Online and some games.
Yep. And it was a dial-up modem.
Yeah, dial-up modem, trying to push all this stuff through.
Were they the first to introduce that?
In a console, probably.
Because it
they
came
did have
with it.
like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it was connected in. Yeah, it was. Whereas the PS2 brought it in later.
You're right. Right.
The Dreamcast was out the box, and I believe they had free online play out the box, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I think they did for certain things.
Man, I'm getting a history lesson here. This is great.
It took.
This is great.
I think it actually took a year because I remember NFL 2K. I don't think had online play, but 2K1 did, I believe.
Yeah, and I just think the games for the time were incredible looking. I mean, I played a game called Shenmue 1 and 2 on Dreamcast, and I remember being like, "What in the world is this?"
That's
like
awesome.
It was just incredible looking for the time, and the story was good. The dialogue was terrible, but
Yeah.
at least they had they had voice acting. You didn't have to read everything, which was a big step at the time. You know what I mean? For because you would struggle through these RPG games and read for just hours and hours and hours. And Shenmue had at least decent voice acting. You know what I mean?
I remember. Well, it's funny that it even like had voice at all, and you mentioned that because I just remember watching like snippets of that game because I never got to play it, but I wanted to kind of see some things from it. And I remember him just being like, "Dad, what are you doing?
Do you know the man down at the fish market?"
No.
I mean, it was just so bad, but it was, but because they were trying and because they really, I feel like they put the best foot forward that they could. I mean, you just appreciated it. They had the quick time events. I feel like they were one of the first games to incorporate quick time events, which are so known now. And God of War has them all over them, and things like this. Where something happens, you got to push a button real quick. And I just thought it was such a great game to incorporate something like that into a bigger thing instead of it being the whole game, like Dragon's Lair or Space Ace or something, where the whole thing is just one big quick time event.
Mm-hmm.
I put so much money into those two games. Remember that?
Me too.
Remember that 50 cents? Like I used to put in 50 cents and I'd die in like the first one because like the light would flicker, so you'd try and do it and the joystick was like broke and you're like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Exactly.
I probably could have gone to college for the first year, with all the money that I put into those two games. I love those games. I still play them on my iPhone, by the way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. The fact that they're out
now
for
it's
iOS
like
is awesome.
you pay $1 and you can play it as long as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite game, I gotta go with Final Fantasy VII. It's just time of my life, high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was a theater kid, so it's not like I had a bunch of friends anyway.
You were that guy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I was that guy. Minus the black trench coat, but
Nice.
I
Oh, so you didn't go the goth route. That's good.
No,
at
I
least.
didn't. No, thank you.
Good, good.
Lord.
Did you at
ever
least
seen
have like the derby or the hat?
No. I was
Fedora or whatever?
rocking all kind of crazy hair back then. That was just so embarrassing.
That's
Because
awesome.
you gotta understand, as a black guy in high school in a white county, like there's not much stuff you can do with your hair anyway. But when you do
Nice.
something just a little different, it's crazy, and people looking at you like all kind of side eye looking at you. But it
That's
was all good.
amazing.
When I got home, I had that Final Fantasy VII, baby. It was me, Tifa, and Aerith, rocking it out. So I love that game. I thought the storytelling was great on it. I love the protagonist and how he, you really get to see him grow throughout the game. And it was like the first game that I ever saw that thick of a jewel case. I was like, look at all these CDs. What are we going to do with all these CDs? I was like, there's games on all these things? And they're like, yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. You getting through the first disc and you're like at 20 hours, you're like, oh my God.
You're like, are you serious?
There's so much left.
And there was so many side things to do. I mean, you could probably literally spend a good 70 hours in that game. You know what I'm saying? Coming up to the end of it. You could, of course, blaze through it, but even blazing through it was still, what do you think, Hall, 30-something hours? Trying to blaze through it?
I blazed through it about a year ago on the PSP, and it was 40 hours.
Oh,
and I did no leveling.
Wow.
I just ran through. I didn't do any grinding or anything, and it was 40 hours.
That's insane.
That's
and I
ridiculous.
Just love that. I love that game. And I've grown to love the Final Fantasy franchise. Just I love that every story's different. I like that they started. I think they started it with 10, doing the 10-2 and doing the little sequels to the games that they put out. I think
they need to
awesome.
do a 7-2. Well, technically, it wasn't like Crisis Core a 7-2.
Well, it was a prequel.
I mean, that's the thing. If they don't want to do the remake that they teased, at that E3 or whatever. Just make a whole new game.
That's what I think, man. Do you remember watching that when they did the tech demo of the PS3?
Oh yeah,
and
that
they
was
played
awesome.
the opening thing. The place went ballistic. Like, it was crazy how loud these grown men and women were screaming about this game. I was at work and I was like, oh, no. People were like, what's going on? I was like, no. Yeah. People were like, what in the world? Aren't you supposed to be like checking this lady out? So I worked at like a supermarket at the time. I just remember always watching those press conferences, and when they debuted the PS3 and did the tech demo of the opening scene of Final Fantasy, I about lost it.
That's
so
awesome,
I think
man.
it's safe to say that JRPGs are probably your favorite genre.
Yeah, I want to say they're my favorite too. I just love anything that's a good, deep story. For some strange reason,
definitely.
I don't know what it is about me and Western RPGs, but they just don't suck me in as well. I feel like they're a little slower moving, and they're more like, I don't know if they feel more like graphic based, or that they have to, with, Final Fantasy VII, they walked around with no hands. You know what I'm saying? It was just the arms, flailing around and
Popeye arms.
Yeah, these Popeye arms, and I feel like they just really focused on the story, and the graphics were great, and it was one of the first times I had really seen like a rendered background, and then your little sprite walking around in the background moving, and it really being a nice 3D cohesive thing. But I just remember loving that thing. And so, yeah, JRPGs, I think I really like them. I think they're colorful. They tend to be more playful than the Western RPGs that are super serious. Skyrim is a serious game. Of course, there's silly stuff in it, but it seems just like so serious. This axe wielding, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
More
so mead, please.
Exactly. I'm like, give me a big old sword that's like the same size as my height, and I'm down.
Yep.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I love that game. I think looking forward to, like Rauter was saying, there's so much stuff this fall and this winter that's going to be coming out, and next year. I think Last of Us is going to be just insane. I cannot wait for Last of Us to come out and just dive into it. I'm a huge fan of those, kind of out there by yourself and have to do it on limited ammo kind of games.
Yep.
I think that's going to be really cool.
I think it's going to be like the true survivor game.
That's why I'm looking forward to it so much, because it's like with Uncharted, you just like, you're shooting up dudes, you've got ammo galore, you're just like having a fun time,
Right.
Yeah.
With The Last of Us, I think it's going to be more tense.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like.
Yeah. It's when they showed that gameplay at E3, I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the one where they, at the beginning, they were like, this is fully rendered on a PS3, like there's no
a guy sat there and played
CG or something.
Yeah, he played it, and I just remember because I watched it online, and Gabe was there, and I was insanely jealous. But yeah, I did the same thing, Gabe. Like when they were showing that footage, I was like, oh, like my wife is looking at me like, you're such an idiot. What are you doing?
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, that's the greatest thing ever. It's amazing.
Dude, I mean, and the energy in that room when they played, literally, it was in a sports arena, and I feel like if anybody anywhere would have dropped a pin, you would have heard it. I mean, it was so quiet and tense, and the way they do those presentations, they have those presentations down, so they know how to pull the emotion, and the sound, and I think I looked behind me at one point, and there's like 9 projectors going at once, and it was just this insane thing. And then when for those that saw the Sony press conference, when they ended with him shooting that guy in the face with that shotgun, I mean, everybody, like, it was almost like there was a pause, like right when it shut off, and it was like The Last of Us. Everybody was like. Oh my God! So people just.
How did you get to E3? I'm still pissed about this.
I mean, it's a long. We're gonna have to dedicate like a podcast to it.
Yeah, we need
to.
to.
It was.
We definitely need to.
It's an amazing story though, but it was everything I wanted it to be. Is somebody.
I still want to hear this story.
Yeah, you got to hear it, man.
I keep hearing about it, and I'm like,
teasing.
All right. I'm like,
everyone, stay tuned for that episode because you're gonna want to pull up a nice chair and a drink, and you're gonna have a ball with it. It's awesome.
I love that. Also, Beyond Two Souls with Ellen Page.
Yes,
I think that's gonna be something that's super cool, and it's gonna be different. We haven't seen a lot, and so it kind of leaves you like, is this gonna be cool or is this not gonna be cool? But just watching the behind the scenes stuff and watching her act everything out, is really cool, and I'm loving that actors and actresses are really, when people, I think if 15 years ago, if somebody had been like, hey, come be a part of this video game, somebody would been like, I'm all right. Obviously, we've seen that in Shenmue with the voice acting, but but I think now, games have such a presence to them, and really the money's there because it's such a big business that, they can pull these Hollywood stars and then be like, yeah, I'll do that,
I think gaming grew up too, because if you really, if you look at like the days of NES and stuff, it was mostly marketed towards kids.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
nowadays, it just seems like a lot of games are just, automatically marketed towards teens and adults.
Of course.
So-
You look at, I'm working my way through Sleeping Dogs right now, which is a
nice.
great game. That game is good.
That's
Now,
on my list too.
it is
definitely.
not for kids. There is a lot of language and crazy stuff in that. It's funny because I call me conservative, but I remember being at GameStop, I think it was middle of the year, and this mom was buying her child. It was a child, like 8 or 9 years old, this mature game that I had played before. And I remember just looking at her like, for real? You're going to buy that for your child? And even the guy behind the counter was like, ma'am, just so you know, this gets crazy. And she's like, it's fine. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, my child
he's
won't be
used
playing
to
that.
it. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
Good
Exactly.
Lord.
So
Parent of the year right there.
gratuitous violence. Do you remember when like parents were concerned about Altered Beast?
Oh,
You remember that?
well,
Like,
of
they were
course,
like,
that game
"Oh
scared
my
the
God."
crap out of me too.
Yes.
Maybe they
And,
should
like,
have been worried.
And like you look at a game like Gears of War, that's just like massive gore. Like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's exploding
His
in
head's
the
exploding
bits.
and everything.
In the bits. And people are just like, yeah, I'm gonna get my kid that.
Yeah, I'm like,
They
you
want it,
understand
so-
his gun has a
Yeah.
chainsaw on it, right? You just you understand. You know what I'm saying? From
I can't for the life of me understand what happened to parenting, like as far as like video games are concerned. Like it just went 180. It
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah.
what?
it went
It really
crazy.
did.
So I'm just telling parents out there, if you're listening, Sleeping Dogs is great, but there is a gang. Your child will talk to you different when they are done playing that game. They will
And
talk to you
possibly in Korean too.
different. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another one. What's your girl Emma Stone and Lucy Liu are in it.
No,
they
they got so many people on that.
their
That was
voices
really
are in it.
cool.
It's
That's awesome.
it's crazy, and so
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and so gaming's grown up. Hall, I think that's a great way to put it. It's grown up and it's really grown with its fan base.
Well, I know I've said this before, but isn't the average age now in the males in their 30s? It's
I think
basically
it's even older.
that's-
I think it is too.
Yeah, because I remember hearing it and being a little shocked.
I
think it
was, like, floored when I
42
heard
or
that.
something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would have
Like,
never thought I was on the young side of that.
Yeah.
All right, there, youngin.
No, I was seriously. I was like, man, 40s. I was like, who are these guys? And I can't wait to be them.
Just wait 3 more years. We'll be talking about 40s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez Louise.
I'm glad I'm closer to that demographic. There, I said it.
Exactly.
Is anybody still on? Is anybody listening now, or they're like, forget these guys?
No, exactly right.
Screw this crap.
I know,
man.
right? These guys are way too regular.
That's right.
Okay, let's get
Gears
into
of War 3, gory. What's wrong with you guys?
Let's get into a little bit of news. We've had some news this week, which is kind of cool. We'll start out with something that's not hugely important to the gaming world, but I think it is cool for the gaming world. Obviously, the iPhone 5 coming out. Not a lot of updating though. It seems like, yeah, it's a little faster, screen's a little bigger. But overall, what do you guys think? You think it's not gonna like blow the doors off of iOS gaming or anything like this?
I think it's just trying to keep Samsung in check, and just, in my opinion, because I mean the Galaxy S3 is really giving them a run for their money, and maybe that was part of the reason why they made it taller and a little bit wider.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I just did the iOS 6 update yesterday, and I have an iPhone 4. I don't have the 4S.
Right.
And even the update itself, it's always been a great interface. I've always loved what iOS and just Apple in general, what
Yeah.
they've done, because it's so easy and super simple.
Yeah.
Like my mom even has an iPhone 4 and she doesn't touch a computer. I
Right.
mean, that says a lot to, to what they do and how they do their interfaces.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks beautiful. I don't know if I'm going to get it. My cardinal rule is usually I wait a year for any new
Yeah.
hardware or
Especially on
technology.
stuff like that.
Yeah, and see if they can get the bugs out of it or if there are any, and then just kind of go from there. But I mean, it is beautiful. I watched the whole. I was on live blog watching the whole address and saw everything about it. And I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it's just not. I thought it would be more. It seems more like iOS 6. It seems more like a update than it is like a whole new phone. And now and I'm upset because they took YouTube off. Did you notice that in your update? I was like,
I didn't even notice
how
that.
it is.
But you know what? Download the actual YouTube app now. It is 10 times better than the native one that Apple had. Oh,
Okay,
it is
that's good.
10 times better.
Sure,
So yeah, that
makes sense.
that got released. A lot of people are giving them crap for their maps that it's not that great, and they purchased
Google Maps wasn't that great though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
To be
But,
honest,
I mean, Apple purchased like 3 different geo companies to really get things going. Like they have the whole 3D thing going.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll still definitely try it. I mean, if Google, it can't be as horrible as everybody says.
Right. Of course.
But I mean, that's a nice, cool feature of it, and they integrated more in with Facebook, which is really cool, and you can share your photos a lot easier.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I was expecting something a little bit more, but because I have a 4, and not a 4S, it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just wanted to bring it up because I was like, I have an iPad and that's all I do is game on it. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things you could just take with you. And when I saw that, and I knew, Rauter, that you had the phone, and I was like, I wonder how other people besides me, because I'm not getting anything new besides the operating system, which doesn't feel like much either.
Yeah.
Didn't know if anybody else was feeling the same way as I was feeling.
I mean, I'm excited to see what games are going to come out of it too, because I mean, I just love that everything's open source for them, and they make it easy for developers to develop some cool games.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I said, because I still play like Space Ace and Dragon's Lair, and I always like trying to see what cool new games are coming out, because it's fun.
Yeah.
And my wife has an iPad. I don't have an iPad. Because my phone is everything anyway.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's fun just to be able to doodle on the phone and play some cool games there.
There you go. Also, new PS3 on the horizon, which is weird. Love it or hate it. Slimmer, sexier.
SuperSlim.
I'm not
PS3.
sure. I don't even. I'm not sure about sexier. Like I had mentioned that I had a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
And I looked at the redesign and I was just like, are they going to do away with the Slim? I really hope not.
Well, I just don't know what exactly. What are you getting? It's smaller. I get that. What else? You get flash memory, but that's just in the UK, right?
Yeah.
And you're not getting a price drop either. It's like, well, you announced this new, slimmer system. We were all thinking, it's just going to be, their cheaper system, or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it's like the same price. So it's like,
just with a big hard drive in it, right? 350 and 500 or something like that?
I think it comes in like 250 and 500.
250 and 500, yeah.
If you go to IGN.com, they do an unboxing of it, and I watched it this morning. And I was kind of underwhelmed with that too. I mean, they have a corrugated top now. Here's the weird one. The CD is a sliding tray on the top versus
that's
weird.
Why exactly.
It looks like it's from like the 90s or something, and it looks so cheap because you basically flip it and it like flips back and then reveals the CD. And
does it come with an Ace of Base CD?
Yeah, it might as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is it a CDI or something? Like, what is it?
It might as well, man.
I mean, that's the thing. When I saw this, I was like, please tell me they're not getting rid of the Slim, because if my Slim dies, like, I want to buy another Slim. I like it. It has the motorized tray and stuff. I really like it.
And I still got the fatty, and it. I mean, and I love that. Like, it's worked fine.
I mean,
you've got the sexiest, most expensive one.
I got the one with most curves on it. Hey-o.
That's right.
There you go.
Hi-yo. But yeah, so what they're doing is September 25th, 250 gigs for $269. You bundled with Uncharted 3.
Oh, well.
And you get a $30 voucher for bonus content for Dust 514 or 514 or however.
I think the reason they did that is because I can't see that many people playing that game. I could be wrong. but
Yeah.
They're just trying to get
may
into
be a lot
people's
of people
hands, you
on it.
think?
But man,
Yeah.
hey, if you were anything like, if you're a newbie like me, this might like Uncharted 3. That's another good one to start off with too.
Oh
Because
yeah, definitely.
that's next level as well. And I have the 160 gig one, so I'd almost buy it just for the additional storage.
Sure.
It's
But
so weird that. Oh, go ahead.
Now, but yeah, for the 250 gigs, if you are interested or want to get into gaming, that might be a good way to go because that's how I started too, and now I'm hooked, and my wife hates me, so it all works out great.
There you go.
But
Once
I
your
wanted
wife
to say,
hates you, buy
yeah,
this
no, it's
console.
great. No, she doesn't. But I was going to say they're also rolling out on October 30th the 500 gig for $299,
Yeah.
and that I don't think they're not
I
bundling
think that's a
that
pretty
one.
good deal right there.
Yeah, I
'cause,
think so.
I mean, versus the Xbox, that's $250, I think, for $299,
Yeah.
like 250
But
gigs.
I mean, 500 gigs is storage is pretty sweet, and especially now with Google Plus and being able to download all these games and all that stuff. By the way,
Exactly.
thank you, Tim Hall, for that mention. And if anybody doesn't
Oh,
have,
you said Google Plus.
I
think
said
you meant
Google Plus again.
PlayStation
I keep doing that. It's so funny. I'm sorry, everybody. PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
So-
Google Plus ain't giving me nothing.
Google,
man.
yeah, it's just right now it's just giving us a bunch of hang-ups, and that's about it.
There you go.
But I'm sorry. So PlayStation Plus, Mr. Tim Hall got me hooked on that. I said, dude, you have to do it. It's like a monthly subscription, and man, this past month they rolled out a bunch of stuff, and I downloaded Borderlands, the first one, so I'm excited to play that one, and Saints Row 2, and they have all kinds of fun stuff, and that's especially with I think that starting to become more of a norm where you can download all these games through their network now. You're going to need that storage, so
Definitely.
I'm glad they're upping it at least, and I think that's exciting.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing is like I think I was about 3/4 of the way through my 120 gig, and then like getting PlayStation Plus and getting all that content and stuff. It's like I definitely need a bigger hard drive.
Yeah.
So
I'll be making that move.
yeah, I'm
for
gonna
sure
be too.
pretty soon.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the while PlayStation is having its third of the same console come
Yeah.
out, the Wii U's got its new situation coming out. Nintendo's got its Wii U coming out November 18th. Pre-sales already happening. What do you guys think?
I mean, pre-sales are they're doing well, right? Like last
It's
I
doing
heard,
well.
things are moving for them, so that's kind of exciting.
I kind of figured it would sell well. I mean, people want something new at this point. It's like you got consoles that have been running for what,
Five and a half
six
years,
or
something like
7 years. It's like it's time for something new. Just looking at the Wii U and the specs, though, like not necessarily. They didn't release the hardware specs, did they?
I didn't see them.
Okay. Well, basically, just looking at the console quality, it's probably a little bit better than the 360 in the PS3, but it's like yeah, a little bit better. It's almost like how you said about the iPhone 5. It's like a little bit better. I don't know if I could really get that excited about that.
Right.
But I mean, people are going to buy it, and Nintendo knows what they're doing. So,
But what do you think about that price point? I mean, here you got the new PlayStation, which has been out, for like you're saying, 6-7 years, and here you got a brand new Wii U coming out for $299, and you get something brand new. Do you think that in itself will kind of capture people?
I think so, and that's why I think Sony missed the opportunity with bringing in a cheaper PS3. Because if they would have brought out that SuperSlim and made it $199, I think
through the roof.
I think people would be talking about that.
Through the roof.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they made it, $269 with a game bundle, and it's like, okay, well, you didn't
Right.
really do anything, but awesome.
Exactly. An old game at that.
Yeah. So I
Gabe,
mean,
Gabe,
Go ahead.
were you? I'm sorry. Were you able to play the Wii U when you were out at E3?
Oh yeah, I got to play Batman Arkham City, I think.
Oh, I love that game.
Well, I don't know if that's what they're calling it, or is it like Batman? It's Batman something.
Okay.
And
Batman
it's
something.
It's definitely the same game, just kind of like reimagined for the Wii U because of the controller. And I just remember playing it, and I was like, huh. I mean, this looks like what I was playing when I was just playing, Batman at home.
Right.
I do have this huge contraption in my hands, which I have big hands, so it's not really like that overwhelming. But at the same time, I was like, man, this is a kind of a big controller. It's got this screen in the middle of it. And yeah, you kind of like look down and do some stuff on that and then look back up, which I thought was kind of like, feels like texting and driving a little bit, because you're like, shoot, I don't want to have to look down and then back up to, I just kind of want to look up. But yeah, I guess their whole thing is to take away from the machine and go play it in your room, but you can't go that far from the console, I wouldn't imagine. So it's like, it's not like I'm be able to like, run to Taco Bell while I'm playing my Wii U gamepad,
And I've heard too that the resolution on the screen, is probably SD or sub HD or something like that, because it's like, how could they do a high resolution screen and still keep that price point? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so,
so text is pretty much going to have to be developed directly for that screen, or you're not going to be able to read it.
Right. And I love Nintendo. Nintendo is, I think, they did a lot of brave things when they came out with the Wii, taking it down to, 2 buttons or 3, and it just being a wand, and it took off. And I think that's what they're hopefully counting on, is like, hey, all the people that were like, yeah, I like, games so, and they ran out and got the Wii, and the Wii was, out of stock everywhere for like a year and a half. I think that's what they're counting on, those same people to come back around and be like, oh, now there's a screen, but and I think you could still use the Wiimotes for it, but it's like, yeah, small hills and
I don't think this is going to hook in grandma like the Wii did,
No,
the
I don't
Wii,
think
It's
so
not gonna
either.
it's not gonna have that wow factor that it did, because when I first got the Wii, I was like, man, this technology is really cool. Like, I can swing the wand and play
Bowl.
baseball and hit a home run, and
Yeah.
and that was like, I think it was like a family thing, and families were like rallying around it because it was, the games were pretty clean, and the control was easy, so everybody and their grandmother literally could play the Wii. And with
Right.
this, it's like, it doesn't have. I don't think it has that same wow factor at all.
Yeah.
Well,
I
mean,
feel the same way.
I kind of feel like it's going to sell. It's going to sell pretty good. I don't think it's going to do as well as the Wii, because I mean, you got to know they're going to show it on the Today Show and stuff like that. So
Right.
people are going to know about it.
Yeah.
I just think that it's especially with that controller that's a screen, it's like one person's going to be holding that controller, whereas with getting the Wii, like everybody could join in. It's like, oh, get 4 Wiimotes and let's all bowl, or something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
Let's all
So-
crack somebody's TV.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I always love that maintain safe distance. That little warning that comes up is always fun.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like, why don't you sit your controller down and go outside and play?
The Wii, it's funny because I was renting a townhome at the time, and the Wii made me get renter's insurance, because I was like, people were coming over.
Nice.
Yeah, people were coming over and like
Nice.
swinging the wand and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, you don't have to do it that hard.
Yeah,
And you know
something's gonna
what?
break.
If you break my TV, you're gone. It's like,
That's funny.
I
in
know
fact,
that's
I
right.
remember calling the company and saying like, yeah, I'm just getting this because I got a Wii, so like hook me up here. Well, what's the cheapest route I can go?
That is
That's hilarious.
that's funny. Yeah, I'm interested. I think even based on everything that happened at E3, it seemed like Nintendo was kind of like the redheaded stepchild there, and everybody was talking the other consoles. And I feel bad because I like Nintendo too. I mean, I loved the Wii when it first came out, but I just don't know about this, and
Yeah.
we can really just kind of sit back and just see what happens at this point.
Yeah, all you can do is wait. And that might be why the pre-sales are doing so good, because all you have is speculation and, hey, it's going to be great. So you're like, yeah, I mean, if somebody was like, hey, this car is going to be great, you're like, you can't say that it's not, so. All right, well, you guys ready to get up out of here?
I
Yeah,
think so. I think my baby girl just woke up in my lap, so
I think I'm ready to go back to bed now.
yeah, I think
Exactly.
I think you should.
Well, we are married to the games, you guys, and we appreciate anybody that's out there listening. Please check us out, marriedtothegames.com. Find out information about us. Drop us an email. Let us know what you think. Any questions that you want answered, or just see our perspective on different things, hit us up. So, and we will see you guys next week. For Timothy Hall, for Tim Rauter, I'm
Sir.
Gabe Patillo, and we're saying peace out.
Out.